Ron, thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time today. You've been a guy that I've known for quite a few years, and you're an interesting guy because you're very involved in agriculture, as am I, but you're in a different phase of it, so we can get into that. Some of your experiences are different from mine, but we do have that common tie-in with the Coshocton County Fair that you're very, very much involved in. So we'll kind of go down that road too as we talk, but just tell me first, that you grew up here in Coshocton County, right?
So my dad actually moved our family here back in 1974. He was a manager for, this will be dating a lot of people.
Okay.
He was a manager for Fisher's Big Wheel.
Oh.
Buckeye Mart, maybe
Sure.
is probably what it was
Down
back
the
in
plaza,
1974. Right? Yep. So I was actually born in Worcester, in Wayne County. My mom is from Wayne County. My dad is from Ross County.
Okay.
Both obviously opposite ends of the state. And we landed here in Coshocton as a store manager. And so I guess for the last 52 years have pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't grow up here, but all my siblings did for sure. So.
Okay. Did you go to school at Riverview?
So that's another funny one. We actually, when we moved to the area, we lived in West Lafayette, so I did a half a year at Ridgewood. I did 3.5 years in town here. We lived about a block and a half from the 8th Street gate at the Coshocton County Fairgrounds. And then my dad in 1980 moved us out to our little hobby farm where we're all at now. Been there ever since.
Okay. All right. Good. So you're mainly in the beef and grain and hay. Is that right out there on your own farm?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I have a little beef herd. My son and I work together, but we have a whole different aspect. We sell our calves, and you are all about genetics and show cattle and that kind of stuff, right?
So we've kind of evolved to that. To our hobby is we all work to supplement our hobby. Which is an overzealous 4-H project. So I remember coming home in the 3rd grade from Conesville Elementary, and the extension office had been there that day talking about 4-H. And I went home and told my dad, I said, hey, I'm going to show a steer at the fair this year. Well, I didn't realize it was too late for that anyways, but luckily for me, he had a lady that worked for him in the office at Buckeye Mart by the name of Bobby Hughes, who was a long-time 4-H leader here in Coshocton County. She had a club, and he got me involved in that club, and that's where this all went south. Between my brothers and I, we started showing some steers at the fair. Some of our first steers actually were purchased for us by Edwin Lee.
Okay.
He's a longtime businessman here and big supporter of the Coshocton County Fair. And he would help us get steers, and we were semi-competitive, and so we always were looking at a way to bring better cattle to the fair. We didn't really want to go buy them. We kind of liked the idea of raising them. Yeah. And so my dad, I remember Mom and Dad telling us that you get beat enough times, you'll figure out a way to quit getting beat. And so we just worked harder and harder on the stock that we kept and raised, and we were fortunate enough to do pretty well, from time to time, and clear through, all of my kids went through 4-H here in Coshocton, and as is a vast part of the rest of my family, my brother's kids. Yeah. Most of them were 4-H kids at some point.
So 4-H, FFA, and the fair, that's a big list. And you went to Ohio State, didn't you?
I graduated from Ohio State at ATI in Worcester.
Okay.
Back in December of '92.
Okay. So, all right. So you're all into ag your whole career pretty much, and now you're working for Coshocton Grain Company. What's your position there?
So operations manager there. We have obviously for those folks here in town, we have a grain facility there. We also take our beans in there. We make soybean meal and soybean oil that we sell to producers all over the state of Ohio and surrounding states. And then we have another facility in Hebron, Ohio, a satellite facility where we just take in beans there.
Is the inputs for your grain operation from Coshocton County or from a bigger region than just Coshocton County?
We're going to cover Coshocton County and pretty much all the counties that attach to us.
Okay.
Tuscarawas, Holmes, Wayne, Licking, Perry, quite a few. We cover a pretty good area.
My background has been with dairy, and there's been huge changes in the dairy industry in the last 10 or 15 years. In Ohio we have about half as many dairy farms as we had back then. But we're getting more milk from those lower number of farms than we ever did in the past. At Pearl Valley, we used to get milk from about 100 farmers, and now we get milk from about 30 to 35 farmers, and we're getting a whole lot more milk like that. And so, the agriculture industry has changed dramatically over the last 30 years that I've been involved with it. You've probably seen the same thing on the grain and maybe the beef too, is that right?
Absolutely. I think it's what someone might call the price of progress.
Okay.
We're going to do more with less.
Okay.
Like that or not. But that's the way it is anymore.
And the last, you're kind of hinting around at commodity prices, right?
Commodity prices, if you follow the trends in the news, right now the biggest problem we probably have locally for our agriculture would be the price of beans, and the price of beans goes directly to international trade here in this country. Doesn't matter if you're in Ohio or Iowa.
That is amazing how our local farmers are affected by the geopolitical tensions and fights and tariffs and trade negotiations and things like that, but it affects the livelihood of our local farmers. You know?
Just the talk of it can change today's commodity prices tremendously.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's dive into the fair for a little bit. You mentioned that you were showing animals there as a kid, grew up doing that, and now I know that you've been involved in the fair board for a long time. I think you were president a couple years ago.
Yep.
And we've worked together on some other projects. So that's a big part of your life, I think, isn't it?
Ever since I was a kid, like I say, I've been in 4-H since I was 9. I didn't really take any time off because when I graduated, I became an advisor. So I've been involved with 4-H since I was 9 years old, 4-H and FFA as far as that goes. My kids started into 4-H when they were old enough, and I don't know, it was kind of I don't even know how I got on the fair board. I tell this to everybody, I really don't. I just remember my wife bringing me a petition one day, and she said, "Hey, I'm gonna have people sign this for you to run for the fair board. You always got all these ideas. Maybe you can help the guys, And I knew a bunch of those people because we're a small town, so everybody knows everybody. And next thing I know, I'm on the board, and I just got reelected for my 5th term, and for the past, I believe, 9 years, my sole duties have been the junior fair. Anything that goes on with the junior, I'm the junior fair director. So it doesn't matter if it's still projects, livestock projects, the royalty contest. Those are all things that we help facilitate along with all of our partner groups here, whether it's the 4-H and FFA advisors, our extension staff, which we can't thank them enough.
Oh, yeah, they do an amazing job.
You say the fair board's a thankless job. Trust me, the extension office is a thankless job.
Right?
The work that goes on there, in and out of the fair and beyond the stuff that they do on a daily basis. So, junior fair's always been a big focus of us. I always tell people I'm trying to get or help get these kids pointed in the right direction to where we don't need the services we see outside of the fairgrounds.
Boy, that whole idea of raising an animal, preparing that animal for the fair, showing that animal, and selling that animal teaches kids so much, don't you think?
There's the life teachings that's in that project. I don't care if you bring a chicken or a steer to the fair. There's a lot about life you're going to get taught during that, from losing livestock to the choices you make in how you feed your animals, the responsibilities of feeding those animals and taking care of them. There's a lot of life choices to be learned there.
And it's a generational thing too. I mean, you did it, and your kids did it, and I suspect your grandkids will probably do it too.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's happening with me. My kids showed, and now my grandkids are starting to get involved in showing as well. So it's just an ongoing process. I think it's great for the kids. You and I kind of partnered up back in 2020 whenever COVID hit, and the whole fair. Did we shut down the whole fair? What happened?
We had a junior fair that year, so we had all the livestock shows, but we didn't have anything else. There was no senior shows, none of the open class shows, no rides. We did have a handful of food stands that were on hand that year. But yeah, it was a pretty skinny year.
Yeah.
But we were fortunate. A lot of county fairs opted to not have a fair that year, so that kids were at a loss with their projects. And I thought, here we are, we're this far into it. I'm not shutting those kids down out of the fear that if you shut them down in an event like that, we may not get them started back up.
Not to get them back, right?
Yeah.
So we worked together on that project of Friends of the Fair. We raised some money to, even though we didn't have an in-person auction, we went online and kept things going. And then was this the 1 year we were not in person, or was it 2 years?
Just that year.
Just that year.
2021 we went back. And I would have to look at the exact numbers, but I think here at the 2025 year, we're within a few slight percentage points of being back to those, I hesitate to say, pre-COVID numbers. Because it's easy for folks to step away from something if there's a little blip in the radar, and then we've worked hard at getting folks back, just as all entities have.
We see the benefits for kids, even as we go to hire people up at the Pearl Valley Cheese. Kids who come out of FFA and 4-H and have done the kind of jobs and work like that, they're good employees for us, so they're learning some life skills that they're not going to make our living maybe making a cheese factory, but they come out of high school, they need that summer job, but we can bring them in and send them on their way. So it just has long-term benefits. I think it's a great program down there.
Absolutely.
Well, just talk about the fair in general, because I haven't been to a lot of Ohio fairs, but I've been to enough of them to know that our fairgrounds is top notch. I mean, and I think we have a reputation for having one of the better fairs in the whole state of Ohio. You've been on it a long time. Can you comment on that?
I think it goes to a couple. We're very fortunate that we're at harvest season.
Okay.
So
because of the fair being in October.
Because of our fair being that last couple of days of September, or first couple of days of October, or for this year we're going to be the first full week in October, 2nd through the 8th. We're fortunate because one of the highlights of our fairgrounds we feel like is our ag hall, and it's because you go to some of these June, July fairs, they don't have the harvest yet that we've had, and to have some of those items there, and the weather, our weather is very unpredictable, but when it's nice, it's nice. But between our group that's on the board, our groundskeeper, our office help, it is a big work to keep such a grounds in the shape that it is. And we've done a lot of work the past 5 years in trying to find as much grant money as we can to try to help build up our infrastructure. And we're in need of quite a bit more. I mean, that's something we've got to work on in the next 5 years, is working on the infrastructure, the stability of our buildings, our roofs, things that will keep what's underneath of it in good shape. So those are things that we're kind of focused on right now, as far as projects go. Okay.
Well, you have the county fair for that 1 week in October this year, but the fairgrounds gets used for other things as well. Do you guys keep trying to expand the usage of those fairgrounds?
We're always trying to expand, because no one can run a business off of 1 week's income a year. And believe it or not, our saying is we run the other 51 weeks so that we can afford to do that 1 week of fair. And there's a lot of truth in that. I never thought that prior to being on the board, but I've learned a lot over the years on what it takes to keep that ag society upright financially, for us to continue on and provide that fair week for people. But we're always looking for outside events constantly to bring in, whether it's some kind of an entertainment venue or we have a lot of the dog clubs and camping clubs that come in. Anything we can get use of the fairgrounds is beneficial for a week of fair.
Sure. It helps maintain those grounds and do the improvements you're talking about. I think the fair is probably one of the biggest events of the year. Other people I've talked to say the same thing. It's just everyone looks forward to it, and you're at the mercy of the weather, obviously, every year. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. But so that's terrific. Well, I don't know specifically. Does the county commissioners have a lot of input in what happens over at the county fairgrounds or with your fair board? Is there interaction between the commissioners and your fair board?
So we actually have a great relationship between the Board of Commissioners and the city officials as well, because our buildings are insured by the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
The Ag Society, the Coshocton County Agricultural Society, we own the grounds. It is our property, which is kind of a misinformation. A lot of folks think that it's owned by the city or the county, and it's not. It's actually owned by the board, and but we have a great relationship with those folks.
I think the county, from what I can tell, the county commissioners are very supportive of what goes on down there at the fair. They have a presence usually at the junior fair sales, and they support that in many different ways. So, if I'm successful as a county commissioner in this campaign, hope to be able to continue to do that. And as my kids grow and do more stuff, I'm sure I'll be involved in the fairgrounds in some way, shape, or form. But tell me, let's switch gears just a little bit, Ron. Down at Conesville, at the industrial park, there's a lot of investment going on down there. From my standpoint, I think we need to have some of that manufacturing business come back into the county. We lost a lot back in the 80s and 90s, and now we've got an opportunity to bring some of that back. So do you think there's any tension between the economic development, like in business and industry, and even going into housing? Let's talk about that a little bit. Residential housing. I'm not talking about government housing or anything like that. I'm talking about places where families can build homes to raise their family. Obviously, right now, one of the biggest obstacles is the cost of building a house. That's some big obstacle. How do you see it?
I just left from my past job. We were in Muskingum, right on the Muskingum-Licking County line, and so all that Intel stuff was going on over there, and I had a lot of friends and business partners in that area, and they were, selling their property, or their friends or family were selling property, and it's for exorbitant amounts of money. It's unbelievable amount per acre type money. The problem with it is where do they go? Well, some of that is moving this direction. So we've sold property in Coshocton County to some of those folks. I've seen property in this county bring $24,000 plus an acre, and at that point, that kind of puts the ag community out as far as the potential of buying any land to expand for agricultural use. And we talked about this earlier. Prior, it's the old adage. It's the price of progress. We need that industry down there at the park. We need actual industry. I think what's going on down there right now is great, but we need to build upon it with true manufacturing, or something that it's going to take some more labor than what that's going to require when it's all said and done. It's great for the building process, which is always good. But I look at it as what we need is, in Coshocton County, we need an anchor. We need something that's going to set down here. It's going to hold people in our county for the purpose of living here to work, not living here because we're currently cheap.
Right.
And I think that's kind of an issue that we've got to look at long term for us.
So that increase in property values, I guess depending on whether you're a buyer or a seller, if you're at the end of your working career and you're looking for an exit strategy, the high price for farmland gives you that out to go. But if you're a younger person who wants to continue to expand your agriculture industry or buy some acreage to build a house or something on, then it becomes pretty tough.
Yeah, it gets pretty unfeasible quickly.
Yeah. So, that's kind of a tension that we're going to be facing. I think that depending, there's a lot more. We know that the data centers are going up right now. There's talk of a few other developments going on down there. Nothing has been announced yet, but I think there's a few more job-creating industries that are going to come along. So, just be curious. Where are people going to live? That's what we'd like to know. How are we going to do that? And I think what I've tried to look at this whole situation, Ron, is that as a county commissioner, we ought to try to make Coshocton County a good place for investment. whether it be business, industry, housing, service industry, whatever it is. Let's try to make this a good investment climate. So, we've got a lot of good things going for us, the charitable work, the ag community. There's a hometown, small town atmosphere that makes it very suitable for people to live here and have a good family. Our schools are good. We've got medical facilities. We've got a lot of things. It's just going to be that cost of getting these houses built and making them affordable enough for families, right?
Starting out families.
Right.
I was that way. I remember when we did move away from Coshocton for 1 year. The first year I worked at Hamby's, we lived in Muskingum County, and I was driving back every night to help on the farm. And my wife says, "Why don't you just move back to Coshocton because you're never home here?" And so my dad, at that point, I guess we moved back and lived off the farm for maybe another year or two, and then my dad gave us an acre on the farm, and we built a house there. And I remember going to the bank when we were, getting that house ready, and I'm like, I don't know how I don't know how this is going to work. How do I ever pay for that? That's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And now you look at what it costs for these kids to start today, and I don't know how. I don't know how you do it without it. I don't want to be old school, but mom and dad are definitely working, and they're working a lot. And I think that takes away a little bit of the family value.
Right. It's a challenge.
We were pretty fortunate. My wife only worked part-time off and on a couple of times, and I'm telling you the value of, and I'm not saying that mom shouldn't work, I'm just saying the value of that family time is key, I think, in his success about all the things that we talked about today.
Yeah, right. Just to have that good family atmosphere, you're right. Well, let me kind of wrap this up, Ron, a little bit. You've been around the county, you worked with county commissioners, and I guess one final question is, what are you looking for in a county commissioner? What kind of qualifications or experience would you be liking to see in a county commissioner?
I think a little bit about what we just talked about, someone who's willing to throw that anchor down or find that anchor business or a way to keep those kids here in town. That's the only way we're going to grow this entire community.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, financially, is by keeping them here. As if these kids continue to leave, and it leaves me and you, Chuck, things are going to get rough.
And that's been the trend. There's been some studies that I've read about our population. The state of Ohio has grown at about 7% over the last 20 years, but Coshocton County is flat.
We're flat, and I think if you actually look at it here in about 20 years, it's at the current trend, it's not good.
Yeah,
so,
right.
We got to right that ship, turn it around, and whoever that next commissioner is, or as far as that goes, it doesn't even matter if it's the commissioners, the mayors, it's all the local entities here. We've got to find a way to keep those kids home.
Right. Yeah, I think you're
and
right.
The only way you keep them home is they got to have a decent place to work.
Yeah, decent place to work, decent place
and
to live.
And a decent and affordable place to live.
Affordable, right.
So,
yeah, great.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you've done a great job. You served this community very, very well for lots of years, Ron, and hopefully you got a lot more years left in you. And keep up your good work down at the fair, and hopefully if I'm successful, we'll be interacting on a different level down the road. But
I hope so.
Thanks a lot for coming in and talking today.
Thank you, Chuck.
Coshocton County, I appreciate so much what you've been able to do for us at Pearl Valley Cheese. The years and years of support, the involvement in our business, all of that stuff has allowed us to achieve a level of success that you couldn't imagine for a small company in this county. But we do appreciate it, and I got to tell you, I am going to bring that same work ethic, that same desire to succeed to my job as County Commissioner. I do need your support. Please come out and vote for me on May 5th.